Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Well, Iron Fist, the Netflix series, will be here very, very soon, and he's not a character that a huge amount of people know about. Sure, plenty of people know about him, but not that many. So you might be psyched up for the Netflix series, but thinking, hey, I don't know what he's like. What do I need to know about Iron Fist? Well, don't worry, I've got your back. Here's a quick video of just some of the important stuff you might need to know for Netflix. So Danny Rand, aka Iron Fist, he was a character that was created throughout the big sort of martial arts boom. Back when there was Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan and all those guys. Iron Fist was created to tap into that. And he's also a foundational member of this group called the Defenders. Basically like a street level version of the Avengers, situated in New York. Made up of Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist. Now you'll notice that those first three have already had their Netflix series, so Luke Cage is the last one before we can go into this bigger Defenders kind of storyline. Interesting that they've left him till last, because that might indicate where the Defenders storyline will go when they start that Netflix series. So he's a martial artist, he has master of chi, so he has kind of like energy punches where he can like punch through walls. He can also do things like absorb certain types of energy, and it actually gives him a little bit of telepathy occasionally, but he's mostly Iron Fist because he can punch stuff. Now when it comes to the Netflix series, there's two things to bear in mind. Number one, his origin story is not really that interesting, but all the other stuff about his martial arts world and all that weird and wacky stuff that goes on, that's super interesting. And some of the early reviews for the Iron Fist series don't seem to be that good, so it's got me a little bit worried that they might be sticking to his origin story, which is not that great. So his origin is basically Danny and his parents go on a trip to Nepal. A friend of the family called Meacham takes out his dad so that he can get control of the business, leaving Danny and his mother stranded in the Nepalese mountains. They run towards the only shelter they can see nearby, which is this big sort of temple thing in the Himalayas. And when a pack of wolves come after them, she sacrifices herself to the wolves so Danny can get away. He makes it into the temple, and there he spends the next 10 years being trained in martial arts, after which he of course goes out for revenge with the whole Meacham thing, and there's an interesting development that happens there, but frankly, in the Netflix series, that could be covered in like 2 episodes, maybe even just 1. If they try to drag that storyline out for the entire season, wow, that's going to be boring. So here's hoping they cover that quickly early on, and then they can get into the way more interesting stuff, which is Iron Fist connects to a much bigger interdimensional series of worlds in which magic and dragons and martial arts, and there's all these kind of crazy tournaments going on. It's really cool, really interesting. Basically, here's the situation. There's 7 different cities called the 7 Cities of Heaven. They all exist in different dimensional planes. And every 10 years, a doorway opens between these worlds and the Earth. But not all 7 of these cities can get into the Earth at one time. So they have these big tournaments with one champion representing each of the 7 cities, and whichever person wins, their city can actually go to Earth during that 10-year period. Iron Fist is the champion for his faction, which is called Kunlun, and their enemy faction is called Kunzi. And we have actually seen a little bit of those people in the Daredevil series. We've seen their serpent type of sigil around, and Madame Gao, who we saw inexplicably send Daredevil flying across the room with weird mystical powers, that's probably why she's from this interdimensional realm and probably has access to all kinds of weird chi energy. So you see, through the story of Iron Fist, they could be opening up this bigger battle going on between the Defenders versus the Hand, which is really connected to this whole other realm. You might remember when she mentioned to Kingpin that she was returning home, he said, back to China? And she said, no, much further than that. But Danny Rand is also what we call a legacy hero, where there's been many other Iron Fists before him, and he's sort of carrying on this mantle. Turns out that his father was the last Iron Fist, and the whole reason they were going to Nepal in the first place when they all disappeared in the mountains was to get to Kunlun before the dimensional gate closed, because the temple where he trained is sort of in this dimensional gate. Once he finished up his training, his like final trial was to defeat this dragon, which itself was also an interdimensional being, and after having defeated that is when he got the Iron Fist, when he got the energy fists. In doing this, he also earned the right to eat from the Tree of Immortality so that he could live forever in Kunlun in this magical dimension. But for some reason he said, no, Really? You didn't want to be immortal? That's a pretty dumb decision, dude. So as you can see, there's a lot of cool magic and martial arts and all this weird and wacky stuff out there. I'm just a little bit worried that in this Netflix series, maybe if they want to save money with special effects, they might not want to include a lot of that stuff. So they might just focus on the boring origin story and the family shenanigans and him getting revenge for his father. I mean, it's not that interesting. We've seen it all done a million times before. Or perhaps they want to save the interdimensional stuff for the Defenders series. I don't know, we'll have to see, but I do have high hopes for Iron Fist, and you know we're definitely going to get some awesome martial arts fights, no matter what. So that's just a super fast overview of some of the stuff relevant to the character for the Netflix series. I'm going to do a review of it when it's done, of the whole season. Let me know in the comment section what you think. If you want to check out more videos from me, you can click on any of the ones you see right here. I am Bandit, this is Bandit Incorporated, and until next time, I will see you guys in the comments.